Hi guys, this is the Audiofool, and for today we're going to review the Tekton Design Impact Monitor speakers. I think it was Terry London's review of the Tekton Double Impact Floor Standing Speakers at hometheaterreview.com when I first heard about Tekton Design. And after reading the marketing blurb about modeling the weight of the bass strings and seeing the 7 tweeters, my curiosity was piqued. I like to try out non-traditional speakers because traditional speakers get ridiculously expensive fast, but they still sound the same, just a bit better. So I'm always looking for that new technology that would shake things up, or at least, as the cliche goes, punch above its weight. Baffleless speakers, line arrays, planar magnetics. These are the other things I'd like to try one day. So I really want to get a double impact, but I'm not really into speakers weighing more than 100 pounds. Can't really carry them around. Fortunately for me, the impact monitors debuted soon after, and after reading the positive review in Stereophile, I absolutely had to have one. So for this review, I'll be comparing this monstrous bookshelf with the LS50s and the Quad Z ones. But before that, let's take a closer look. Up front, the 7 tweeters immediately grab attention, and this speaker is quite the large bedfellow. And it should probably be considered a floor stander, as 40 pounds actually weigh more than some floor standers. You have two 6.5-inch drivers that flank the tweeters. Claimed frequency response is 40 Hz to 30 kHz at 94 dB sensitivity and 4 ohm nominal resistance. At the back, you have a large port and twin copper binding posts. This thing is huge, and a lot of people will definitely take issue with space. That is, if the looks don't kill you first. So let's see how it sounds. First up, we have the KEF LS50s, which is right now one of the best $1,000 speakers you can buy. For trials of the pass by subtract, the Tektons look like they should be able to do the 3 bass notes in equal SPL levels, and they do. Versus the LS50s, which could only do the first 2. The bass is a little bit tighter on the LS50s, but not so much so. Apart from the bass, you immediately hear the large soundstage of the Tektons as well. For I've Got You Under My Skin by Frank Sinatra in a duet with Bono, the Tektons produce a soundstage which is wider, taller, deeper, and it makes it easier to track all the details, and clarity is up a notch as well. The vocals is a little bit airier, a little bit dreamier, without being too nasal or too shouty. And the vocals aren't as forward as with the LS50s, but the instruments aren't as backward as well. For Norah Jones, Don't Know Why, apart from the ginormous soundstage, again, the clarity and details are ahead in the Tektons, and you can easily hear this in the snares, in the guitar, in the piano, and there's just much more textures produced by the Tektons versus the LS50s. In the LS50s, the vocals are a bit smaller, but more focused than the Tektons. But the Tektons counter with that holographic imagery, which makes the song feel much more alive. For Alicia Keys' If I Was Your Woman from the MTV Unplugged album, the large projection of sound by the Tektons makes it very easy to distinguish between the instruments, as there's lots of space between them, and the background vocals are very detailed as well, and the piano notes are just spot on, and I really like the timbre in the Tektons. For Pines of Rome by Respighi, in an orchestra piece like this, everyone will immediately notice how grand the Tektons are versus the LS50s. it just feel like you're inside the orchestra and you can hear every instrument at their exact locations, layers upon layers, without any compression at all. And the LS50s just feel like a tiny speaker belting out a huge voice while the Tectons just glide effortlessly. So is it worth spending twice the amount on a Tekton impact monitor? I would say yes. There's no denying how huge the soundstage is, and details, texture, clarity are up a notch as well. If all you care about are vocals, then yeah, you can save that extra $1,000 and just live with the LS50s because I think they're more or less at the same level. Especially if you like your vocals to be flat, then the LS50s are good enough. But if you want the complete package, then the Tectons are the better speaker. Of course, there's in terms of looks, there's no contest here. My wife calls it a spider. A friend of mine calls it octopussy. I don't exactly recall that James Bond film, but I don't think there's an octopus pussycat hybrid that looks like the Tekton speakers there. Anyway, it's not exactly an art piece, or maybe it is, but if you don't care about looks, then you should definitely give Tektons a try because I think they're worth it. Next up, we have the Quad Z1s, which I mentioned in my past review that I really like the airy, dreamy, delicate highs, except that it just was a bit too laid back for my taste. In terms of SRP, they're around the same level, $2,000, so let's see how it goes. For trials for the Pass by Subtract, again, as I mentioned in my YouTube review of the Z1s, the Z1s aren't even able to make the second note, so there's no contest here. They do produce tighter bass, but it's not enough to drive the bass line. In terms of the soundstage, the Z1s can actually pass off as wide enough, but there's definitely more depth and it's definitively taller in the Tektons. And I've always praised the speed, response, and airiness of ribbon tweeters, which I found in the quads. But with the Tektons, not only were they able to keep up, but I think it actually surpassed the quads for my ears. For I've Got You Under My Skin, the quads feel a little bit more laid back, having a more relaxed pace, while the Tektons are a bit more aggressive and the horns are more fleshed out as a result. The vocals in the Tektons are much more forward as well, and it also sounds a little bit bigger. For Nora Jones, again, the Tektons produce a deeper, taller soundstage, but they also produce better timbre for my ears. Piano notes, guitar strings are quite full, and I certainly didn't feel the quads were lacking before I heard the Tektons. It's not that the notes in the Tektons are richer, it's just that there's more overtone and more textures in them. For If I Was Your Woman, both the quad and the Tekton had that holographic imaging which I really like, except that the Tekton projected them in a much larger fashion. And the vocals are also more forward in the Tektons, but despite that, it's also easier to notice and track details. The bass in the quads are actually quite tight, except that it lacks a bit of extension, which slightly lessens the feel. For Pints of Rome by Spiggy, again with a taller, deeper soundstage, and there's also more space between the instruments in an orchestra piece like this, which is very important, and you can hear layers and layers of tones and textures. The music played in the quads are a bit more subtle, and you can still hear the different layers between them, but it's just not as refined, not as resolute, and doesn't have all that same texture as the Tektons. So, for $2,000, My vote goes to the impact monitors, unless space and looks are a problem, in which case you'd be better off with the quads. The quads are the better looking speakers, and they also come with a grill should you want to hide those beautiful tweeters. In terms of sound quality though, it's a landslide for the Tektons, and I'd choose it in a heartbeat. Which is what I like the most about the Tektons is the sound quality. You have that colossal soundstage which provides layers and layers of details and dynamics. You have that solid holographic imaging, that clarity, those details. And of course, the bass, it goes down to 4 to 1 hertz easily, so there's no need to get a sub unless you really like playing with your organ. And all of this in a very enjoyable package, albeit an extra large package. Which is what I don't like about the Tektons. They're a bit too large. They shouldn't be considered bookshelves. You should place it on the floor and just angle it to you because you still need to get the hefty stand for this, at least 40 pounds if you don't want it to topple easily. And I like to move my speakers a lot, listen to them in my living room or bedroom occasionally. I've had the Tektons for around, I think, 2 or 3 months, and I've only moved them once because moving them is a workout. 40 pounds. And I consider myself a strong fella. Anyways, what I really hate about this is that, well, the looks. Well, I don't really care about the looks, but that's what my wife tells me all the time. I don't know why. But I haven't heard anyone say they like the looks of the Tektons. Call it a spider, fly, octopusy, whatever. If you care a little bit about your interior design, there's no way these are going to stay in your house. And you can order them in any color as long as it's fugly. But also, it I don't like the way, or I hate it that it has 7 tweeters because my daughter likes poking tweeters. This has 7, and I get chills every time she enters the room and blankly stares at them. Thankfully, I can order grills for this for an extra fee, but they're still gonna look fugly anyhow. But it doesn't matter because I've been audiofooled. Massively fugly speakers that make massively beautiful music. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or suggestions, just write them down below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. See you in the next video.